Previously, Roxy tells her mom about the dead kobolds and expresses relief that the monsters are no longer a threat. Her mom feels that Roxy looks happier when Faye is around and asks Faye to come into her room. She requests him never to leave her daughter's side because she does not have much time to live. She adds that if he holds great respect for her in his heart, then they can be good companions. Now, the night falls, and a group of holy knights chase their target corpse to the place where he hunted numerous goblins just a few days ago. Hado leads the group of holy knights, who request him to let them handle corpse for him. Since Hado has no idea how powerful his enemy is, he allows them to kill corpse for him. They all take out their swords and begin running towards Faye. However, Faye does not move an inch from his place. With his skills, he attacks them with a ruinous strike at once. It happens so fast that he kills all the companions of Hado immediately. Those who survive run away, leaving Hado alone. He pleads for them to stay with him, but they don't listen. Finally, Hado sees no other way but to get into a fight with the corpse himself. Taking out his sword, he challenges Faye, saying he can never win over a holy knight. But what happens next surprises him. Faye removes his cloak and mask to show his face. Hado gets so angry that a trashman like Faye is standing in front of him. His anger and humiliation do not affect Faye at all, because he does not want to explain anything to Hado, which amplifies his rage even more. The pride that a holy knight is able to defeat any human conceals the ground reality from his eyes that is standing in front of a strong human. Taking out his sword, he challenges Faye to save himself from his wrath, upon which Faye just waits, standing at his spot. He asks Hado to come at him with all his powers that he is so proud of. Suddenly, Faye analyzes the stats of the Holy Sword, which include many spectacular powers. Faye hates that a man like Hado Valeric owns such a sword while he is not worthy at all. Asking Greed to help him break the sword, Faye gets ready to attack. As Hado jumps at him to break Faye's trash-looking sword, he changes his place like a lightning bolt and reappears on his back. It amazes Hado, but Faye does not delay a moment and attacks the Holy Sword with full force. The Ruinous stroke breaks the Holy Sword in one go, leaving Hado unarmed. Hado cannot recover because he has no weapon to fight a beast like Faye and plans to run. But Faye stops him and urges him to keep fighting. Terrified, Hado falls to the ground, but Faye does not want to get rid of him immediately. He wants to ensure that Hado learns the lesson from the mistreatment of poor and powerless people. He strikes his head multiple times with the trees, and his face begins bleeding heavily. He pleads with Faye to spare his life, but Faye reminds him of the day when he pleaded with him in front of Roxy, but he didn't listen. Faye throws him up and takes out his sword, turning it into bloody ptarmigan to get Hado's stats. Afterward, he comes near the badly injured Hado, who wants to know the reason why he is alive now. He shares that it's only because he wants to know a few things about Roxy before finishing him. So Hado reveals that Roxy intends to go to Galia to kill the monsters. It seems that Faye got all he wanted to know. Hado provokes Faye's anger by telling him he will get Roxy's Galia expedition cancelled. But Faye pierces the sword into his chest and finishes him. He did not know that finishing Hado would not benefit Roxy, but he did it to activate his gluttony skill. As soon as he gets rid of Hado, his stats increase so much that he wants to vomit again. Greed tells him that since Faye killed a holy knight, he is entitled to be a holy knight. But he tells Greed that he is not interested in becoming anything like that. Therefore, Greed seeks permission to level himself up, and he gives his stats, which makes it unlock its level 2, a great scythe. The curse embedded in the blade can cut anything. Faye then wishes so dearly that Roxy does not go to Galia. Finally, the day arrives when Roxy has to leave for Galia for a year. Before getting into her carriage, she meets all of the servants. They are extremely sad about her departure. Meeting Faye, she sees love in Faye's eyes and promises to meet him soon. As she leaves, Haru, the head servant, gives a letter of recommendation to Faye. Roxy wrote that letter for Faye, stating that if he gets employment anywhere, no Valeric can harm him. For her thoughtfulness, Faye feels so obliged, but he refuses to accept the letter and tells her that he no longer wants to work as a house servant. Instead, he wants to become a warrior. That night, Faye tells Greed that if he can't stop Lady Roxy from going to Galia, then he will at least support her. Soon after Roxy leaves, Faye bids farewell to the Heart Palace, and at the time of his departure, they give him a few rewards as a token of his loyalty. Haru cries and wishes him the best of luck. With a local caravan, Faye heads to Galia to pledge to protect Roxy. On the other hand, Roxy tells the congregation of holy knights that she is the descendant and next holy knight in the Heart family, so she will do everything in her power to protect the capital. After the speech, she comes down the stage and meets Miria. She voluntarily takes part alongside the knights in killing the divine dragon. Suddenly, another volunteer comes to meet Roxy and tells her that he fought alongside Mason Hart before and volunteered to avenge him. Roxy wanted to know if his family was alright with his decision. Upon this, he assures her that his daughter Rain persuaded him to join the force, and in fact, he belongs to a family of scholars. Mugen and Miria crack little jokes that cheer Roxy. On the other hand, Rain researches in the lab with her coworker. They are analyzing the wounds of goblins killed by corpse. Contrary to normal wounds, they are inflicted through an arrow used in ancient times. Only the black sword can leave such a wound, which mortal sin owned. She cannot say for sure, but the sword's owner can increase the magical power after increasing his skills. Soon after, Faye reaches Tetra, a beautiful city full of opportunities. He remembers the sad memories of this city 5 years ago when kids bullied him. To reach Galia, he asks for a carriage to take him there, but he refuses to leave until tomorrow, as many monsters attack travelers at night. Greed urges him to do something to reach Galia soon for Roxy, but Faye begins exploring the city. With his holy sword technique skill, he can buy a good grade blade, but Faye thinks of something else. The reward that Miss Haru paid him for leaving the palace is with him, and he wants to live in an inn for the night and enjoy the meat. In a restaurant, a man pleads with some warriors to kill the monsters in his village. For that, he offers a few pennies. The poor man does not have any savings other than that. The warrior sees the small amount and gets angry. He puts his foot over the poor man and tortures him for offering this small amount to kill the monsters. Suddenly, Faye enters and stops him from torturing the poor man. Faye beats the warriors, and the poor man turns towards Faye to thank him for saving his life. But he is surprised to see that it's Fate. He used to annoy him so much when they were little boys. Fate remembers that his father was a brave warrior who killed monsters for the village head. He used to crush herbs and make a drink out of it every time his father got injured. But one day, his father died, and when Faye was crying at his grave, the cruel villagers pelted stones at him and asked him to get out of the village as they could not feed a useless kid. Now, time has brought Fate again to the village, and the poor boy is the village chief's son. He regrets his behavior and wants Fate to help him. Greed persuades him to help the guy as it will activate his gluttony skill and earn him the villagers' favor. The fighters in the village get angry to see Fate because they remember him as a trash boy. They humiliate the village chief's son for bringing back a useless man as a warrior with him. Besides, there are cries in the nearby village. The people there need help to get rid of monsters. Therefore, the fighters decide to send Fate there, which will buy them some time. In the meantime, they will hire a few great warriors. Chief Sunset apologizes for their behavior. He gets sad when Fate asks about his wife, who was also killed by monsters. Set regrets his past behavior and shares that his father always thought that errant behavior was appropriate. But ever since his daughter was born, he has changed. Set shares that monsters appeared a month ago and they can fly too. The marks of the wounds show that there is more than one. Suddenly, Set realizes that Fate is hungry and goes to get something for him to eat. As soon as he goes, Greed tells him that the small villagers are wrong about the monsters. If they can fly, they can be very tricky to deal with, like kobolds, and he knows how to handle them. The little girl sees him talking and asks who he is talking to. Fate lies that he talks to himself, and they become friendly. The girl offers him candy, which Fate eats and falls unconscious. Set knows that his father drugged the candy, but he can't wake up Fate. Meanwhile, monsters attack the village. And that's the end of the 5th episode of Berserk of Gluttony. Please comment and let me know which anime recap you'd like to see next. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos just like this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, goodbye.